What is up, YouTube? HPJ here, and I am coming at you guys because it is time. It is time. We are taking a look at my recent Harpie deck profile. Oh, excuse me. This is pre-Forbidden Limited list changes in the TCG, so I just want to make sure that's very, very clear of why it is the way it is. Because A, it's not updated yet. B, there was no significant changes to where I had to change that completely, thank God. And C, the only massive change that I think a lot of Harvey players are looking at right now is, of course, the inclusion of 3 symbols of heritage, which this card, Phalanx Pike, I'm going to have a different video for them and talk about that whole origin and setup and what it could potentially mean. Anyway, it's time for just the pure Heartbeat deck itself. Which, I mean, man, you can still run Symbols of Heritage in that deck too, huh? Yeah, you can. Anyway, other stuff for another topic in a live stream. If you have not catched my live streams, please do, because this is actually where I did show off me playing this deck, and I have a couple of replays. Yes, I have replays too that I'm including because now that I have time for everything, I can duel, I can set up replays, I can play shenanigans, and I can just have Yu-Gi-Oh fun. So yeah, I'm very excited about this. I think you guys are very excited about this. So why don't we go ahead? Why don't I go and talk about the deck list? Starting off with my monsters: 3 Perfumer, 3 Channeler, 3 Harpie Lady, 2 Harpist, 2 Oracle, 2 Dragon, 1 Sister, 2 Barrier Statue, and I'm sorry, not and. There is 1 Apex Avian, and I'm rocking a set of Ash Blossom. That is it for the monsters. For the spells: 3 Sign, 2 Ego, 2 Hunting Ground, 1 Rest, 1 Duster, and 1 Alluring. 2 copies of Ring Requital, 2 copies of Swallow's Nest. That rounds out my spells. 3 Featherstorm, 1 Party for my traps, and then for my extra deck, 2 Cyber Slash, 2 Tri-Brigade Farrajeet, 1 Conductor, 1 Samorg, 1 Shrig, Chidori, Ice Beast. We got Phantasmal, the Utopia package, and I'm going from Utopia to Ray to Lightning, and then 1 Babushka and 1 um, Sky Thunder. So yeah, that rounds out all of the main and the extra. The only things that I did not include in this deck and its build is because it is just things happen. Is that Dancer and Queen are no longer in the list, and I know a lot of people were like, well, they're just Queen and Dancer and their plays. And it's just like, yeah, that's nice and all, but we're kind of at a point right now where the deck needs its extenders, it needs its setup, it needs its plays, and unfortunately, Dancer and Perfumer just aren't as fast as they need to be. I would like them to. I mean, even so, I mean, I know we have Divine with the Mist Valley, but that's at 1, and look, the deck is already filled up with cards as it is. So I did not freeze. There is no main deck Tri-Brigade because I have thrown that out of the way. I have completely set on a lot of the newer wind support that is doing exceptionally well. With that being said, there's only one exception of Summonstorm not being here yet, but I'm going to start testing that soon because I'm going to be doing a live stream later on at the time of recording so that I can actually get a lot of this going on its own. Unexpected dice taking an unexpected turn as this build's not going to be playing vanilla Harpie Lady. It's going to be focusing on just Harpie Lady, one who is just going to give attack boost at this point. And Symbols of Heritage, Phalanx Pike just have that, that je ne sais quoi when it comes to monsters who are all the same name. Being as ways, I just said, like I said earlier, I'll have a different video for these 2 cards in relation to Harpies. Other than that, this is pretty straightforward. It is, take advantage of your Harpies, take advantage of their name, summon, 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 negate, destroy, clear out the back row, and swing. That's literally what the concept is. And I think one of the big questions is going to probably be asked, why the hell is Harpie Laces here? She's here because she gives some extensions. Whether people love or hate Harpy Lady Sisters, some of us are still going to play Sisters because we need that additional rush. We need that additional summon. We need that other Harpy monster. Because sometimes you're not going to get into Dragon, which is why, even though I'm running two, there could be a potential third to replace the Sisters. I at least wanted to run Sisters just to fit it in. And it worked out pretty well, honestly. I'm not even going to lie. There's no rank sevens, so literally Dragon is here for one purpose, and that's to be a link fodder. That is it. If anything, it's just gonna be a big beat stick, but all of its additional effects still can apply. So yeah, that's pretty much it, and it still goes on into the deck being the barrier statue drop or the drop the Apex Avian, whichever one it wants to feel like doing, and that's basically symbolizing this. So I've talked enough about the deck and the pieces here. The only other thing I do want to just point out is if you're a Winged Beast player, please pick up some Winged Rectals when they come out, or whatever the TCG is going to name it when it comes out, because this is an amazing card for Winged Beast players. Literally, it is our our pot of greed. Literally, we have a pot of greed, and I did not exclude Feathergrass because you'll see a combo of me playing this out and I get both off in the same duel, or I think I even get both off in the same turn. So yeah, like get your additional draw power, play with your additional draw power, and I think at a point where I don't even care about pot of prosperity at this point because just multiple drawing is going to help out tremendously with this deck, and especially because of how easy the Harpies have access to manipulating things on their own. So all right, let's get out of the deck itself. Why don't we go ahead and we start looking at these replays? I'm going to start from the bottom to the top. First off is a match against Wind Witch Speedroid. Taking some fun here. I basically just go off like I normally do. I go for my Harpie channeler, I go for the sisters, and I go for the perfumer. This is so that perfumer, hold on, I'm pausing a mistake. This is so that perfumer herself can get additional cards while I'm also having such a bigger monster on board. So I do that, and then I go for my ring Requital to draw into another perfumer into a barrier statue, while also having rest in ego. So at this point, I go for the fairy Jeet. I go and summon the perfumer. I drop another ego so I can get another Harpy lady. I play the rest so I can get my channelers back. And basically, I'm just going for big cards. And I have two negations in my hand with Ash, and I got a Apex Avian on the field. So my opponent basically tried to take Tim Borg into some combos. I stopped that real quick. They go into this thing. Can we talk about this thing? I don't know what this thing initially was. This is High Speedroid Puzzler. And its ability is that during the start of the damage step, if it battles a monster that was special summon, it can double its attack points. Lol, I have a Harpy Lady 1 on the field and didn't think that something like this could be played. Because I don't play Speedroids, I don't play Wind Witch, so I really wouldn't know. And at that point, I'm like, ooh, I need to stop this because it's going to kill my Samorg, and I want my stuff to be protected. So I go ahead, I activate the Samorg, I get rid of the Puzzler. It'll be back soon. And then, sure enough, here it comes because they're going to play Speed Recovery to bring it back to the board. So in phase, I go for Samorg, I go get Perfumer, I pop back row, and then I search off of Perfumer to get Alluring and another Hunting Ground. I play another Ring Requital. I go for the Swallow's Nest. I bring out a Chandler. I'm popping back row. And mind you, none of this back row can do anything because it's all Infinity Impermanences. They all target, and some more effect prevents my opponent from targeting the Winged Beast that they point to. So while Avion and Channeler were all in this row, none of them could be affected by the Infinity. So it made it easy picking. At this point, I exceed, Synchro, it might as well be an exceed at this point. Because literally, I go into Cyber / Harpy Lady, I get rid of this annoying Synchro monster, and I just start swinging again. And then at this point, I end the turn by summoning my Apex Avian. Mind you, I'm sitting on a barrier statue knowing that I'm not going to be able to do stuff with it. They go for the Techie Timborg. I drop my second Ash. They go back into... They're trying to do some shenanigans here. They link with the Wind Witch Freeze Bell to go into. Ooh, I was about to press this. They go into this the high speed or rubber band shooter because they're trying to get some plays off, and I'm just like, nope. Bounce back to Avion, negate the rubber band's monsters effect, and that's GG. That's it at that point. So yeah, then we got Virtual World. This literally did take 3 turns, because I basically shut my opponent out. So I didn't. Did I start off first? I started off first. I go in Perfumer. They activate the Ash. They try to negate. I somehow, for some reason, thought I was still gonna get my Perfumer's effect. It didn't. So I think at this point, I just said, okay, well the Ash is already there. I'm just gonna go for the Perfumer to just have someone on the field. I played a Ring Rekuto, I draw into an Ash, and I draw into a Harpie Lady. And then I go into Fairy Jeet, I play Oracle, Oracle's gonna trigger, I go into Samord, I play Ferjeet, I send back the Harpie Lady so I can get the barrier statue. And then I search for another Perfumer. So my opponent at this point, my poor opponent, drew 2 Ghost Battle, had um, two Quinglong Gates in Lang Lao, which I think at this point this is a very bad hand for you guys. I think, and I also made sure that my opponent had no way to access anything that wasn't wind. And I think for the most, yeah, you guys have a very diverse extra deck. And ooh, there's only one wind monster, and there was no tuner in sight. Yeah, I think at this point I made sure my opponent could not do anything with that barrier set shoe. So then I made it even worse. I went into the Avion, and then I basically just ended it at that point. I think my opponent really could not do anything. Um, because I had the Avion, I had the barrier statue, I was getting ready to set up, and I was taking anything I could with me. So yeah, that was the match against the virtual world. Then we have the Infernoid play. Infernoid duel. I know nothing about this archetype except for one thing. Monsters will hit the field, setting up the graveyard so that you can summon monsters with high levels or low levels, but manipulating the higher level ones. With that said, I thought I did the smart thing by getting rid of the Decatron's effect with the Ash Blossom. So then they go into the Link Rebo, they set up for the Antra, and then they have the Lair of Darkness. I'm very confused. I guess Lair of Darkness because they needed support. They needed, I guess, to link play. I guess look. I haven't even looked at the deck myself. There are a couple link monsters here. Okay, so yeah, it's just very link oriented. Oh, there's some Elder Entity Nesses and stuff. Yeah, they were really trying to set things up here. Um, at this point, I'm perfectly fine with it. I basically have a Featherstorm in my hand. I'm not worried about anything. I don't think I played the Featherstorm because I'm trying to bait out the Karibo because I'm holding 2 Swallows Nests. So I bait out the Karibo, but then the Antrak activated, and I was like, oh, that's a thing. And at that point, I said, okay, well, let the Antrak do what it wants. I want to set up. I have the Featherstorm in my hand for their turn, and I have a Harpie on the field. So they're trying to get rid of my Oracle. I play the Featherstorm. They go for the Phoenix. They pop the back row. I go for a Harpist. At this point, I really don't care about the Phoenix because I know it's going to destroy whatever I summon. So I just summoned the Harpist and figured go get the Perfumer. And that's what I did. So I set up the field, I go for Perfumer, I activate, I go search for an ego, I go get Sisters, and at this point I play another ego to get Harpie Lady 1, I go into Cyber Slash, I go into Feather Rest to bounce back um, the Phoenix, and basically my field is just full of big birds. So at this point, I'm like, fine. I got everything under control, and with that, that ends that match. Because my opponent cannot do anything with a Lair of Darkness. Like, legitimately, what is there going to be done with a Lair of Darkness? Get someone explain that to me. Yeah. So next up, there's a nice mirror match between me and a Harpie deck. This Harpie deck plays um, with Divine with the Mist Valley. There's a lot of speeding up to try to get to Thunderbird. Basically, it's trying to reinvent the the setup that is the Apex Avion lock with Thunderbird. I played this out pretty well. They go for the setup with Perfumer and um, they basically go for Cyber Slash. They set the party and end. So I go for the sign to go get the Egotist. I play the Hunting Ground. I'm just pretty much trying to bait out the Cyber Slash Harpie lady, which I did pretty well. To the point where my opponent had unfortunately lose their hysteric party. So I popped my hunting ground. I didn't swing for double like I should have. I just went for the smart play of playing the conductor just to just keep things together. So in face of my opponent's turn, after they set the Harpies, I go for the double Harpie Lady ones. Like I got a nice field full of attacking monsters. I play the Wing Requito to go draw into the Avion and the barrier statue. Yay! So then at that point, I swallows nest. I go for the perfumer, and I think I go get rest at this point. Just because I think at this point I have enough stuff to set up. I go for the rest. I shuffle back my harpies. I bounce back the harpist. I got two statues, a bird, and a duster in my hand. So I just start poking at my opponent for 16. There isn't really much here. I think what my opponent was trying to do was to set up for a harpist. So they crashed the harpist into the conductor to send her to the grave. I'm looking at this grave, yeah, and to get the harpy lady and the perfumer back with the rest. So that's what they did. They go for the rest. They send back. They draw into the Solemn Strike, which I was like, okay, that is a thing. So I initially say, well, there's only one back row. I'm not wasting resources, and I play my duster to sweep it away. And then here's the crazy thing: my opponent has 1,400 life points. I do nothing to. I don't attack. I go straight into battle phase. And what ended up happening was I clicked. I was trying to click the attack prompt to have my Harpie attack, and it clicked the main phase 2 option. So at that point, I just said, screw it. What can I do now? I go for some work, and I drop the Avian on the end phase with a barrier statue, mind you, in attack mode. So at this point, my opponent goes for Hunting Ground. They play the Chandler. They're trying to pop the hysteric party. I am not letting that Chandler stay on the field, and I bounce her away with Cyber Slash. Which, thanks for destroying the dead party, because I think at that point they knew if like they destroyed the sign, it would have just plussed for me. And it ended up working in my favor, because without the Chandler, there was no other place that my opponent could do. So, yeah. And then the last match to show off is against this weird ABC deck. This is very strange. They're playing Waking the Dragon. There's a Pot of Desires. It's like a 51 card deck. I'm sure most ABC decks don't play like this. But okay. They set 5 back. They set 3 and set the 8 core. I just start going into my combos. I summon my sisters. I play my channeler. I trigger perfumer and run into the trap trick, which gets the torrential. So I'm like, okay, well I'll just summon the conductor. They strike the conductor summon, and then I just said, all right, well I'll swing with the Harpy Lady sisters. So at this point, I'm just waiting to see what my opponent will do. They set the Fossil Dyna. Can we just have a minute to address a Fossil Dyna? Um, okay. Okay. I party to bait out the torrential to blow up another trap trick, and I don't know what this face down card is. I wish I'd have just left it. But I did what I could with the hand that I got. So I summon the barrier statue. I go for the I summon the Harpies pet. This is probably the only time you ever really see this monster. So I send the Harpies to the grave. They activate Dragon, and they summon this. They summon Dragoon. So I'm like, what do I do against Dragoon? So I guess at this point I said, okay, well let's bait out what we can. So I'm baiting this out so I can search for Perfumer to hopefully not have to deal with this thing. Because in my head, I'm thinking I have stuff in the extra deck that can bounce the Soleil, or I have stuff in the deck that can run the Silver. So they summon. They don't do anything. They just swing. I let Conductor destroy, and then I thank the Yu-Gi-Oh gods I drew into my Feather Storm. And basically, this is how I go for game. I summon Channeler, I activate, I negate with Storm because they're trying to negate with Red Eyes. I go for Utopia. Yeah, I go for the Lightning. And I basically run over Dragoon with ease. I swing with Conductor, and then I go for some work. Who like I said, there's various options of things you could do here. I go for the Samorg, and unfortunately, they draw the trap trick. And I think, and I'm at this point where I don't know what's in here. I can only assume they had no pieces left, and I'm basically just going for my combos. At this point, going into my combos, I go into some of my other pieces. I start special summoning, and then I drop. I usually drop my combo pieces. I go for game. Because I'm like, well, there's nothing my opponent can do, and my opponent didn't surrender, so they're just playing it out. So, yeah, that was pretty much it for these matches. I very much enjoyed everything that the deck did for me and offered. I was really excited about this, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video as much as I did making it, and there could be potentially more in the future, so do look out for that. With that said and done, I want to wrap up the video here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you guys can be informed when I do upload more content. Also, there in the description box below is all the social media links. Please come check me out on Twitter. I mean on Twitch and Twitter, but you can check me out on Twitter too. You definitely come to the Twitch live streams. It would be so grateful because I'm streaming like crazy, trying to get to affiliate, and I definitely appreciate it if you guys come and show your support. Um, Also, Patreon if you also want to support the channel as well. And with that said and done, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll definitely catch you guys next time. HJ, signing out.